Have you ever quit and come back with a raise and no boss to deal with? Well, my buddy Tim is one of those rare people who's been programming since he was a kid. By the time he hit college, computer science classes were basically review sessions. He'd already mastered everything years before. His career path proves it too. Google, Facebook, Amazon, and eventually a hedge fund where he became the lead programmer managing their AI trading systems. His work? Millions of trades every single day. He wasn't just valuable, he was essential. So when COVID hit, like most of us, Tim shifted to working from home. And while staring out at his tiny $4,500 a month New York apartment, he realized something. He didn't have to live there anymore. No yard, no pool, no garage, nothing that made him actually happy. So he packed up, moved back to Michigan, and bought himself a dream house with a yard, a heated pool, a 3-car garage, and even a separate little guest house he converted into his man cave. Best part? His mortgage was literally half of what rent in NYC cost him. For over a year, he kept grinding, delivering at the same high level without telling his company he'd left the city. Then COVID ended, and the dreaded back to the office call came. Tim's boss, Larry, rang him up. "All right, Tim, Monday you're back in the office." Tim laughed and said, "Yeah, about that. I moved to Michigan." Larry was floored. "You didn't even ask if you could do that?" Tim, in the most sarcastic tone possible, replied, "Didn't know I needed your permission to move." That set Larry off. He demanded Tim move back to NYC, or else lose his place on the team. Tim reminded him he'd been performing flawlessly for over a year from home, and even offered to fly out a few times a year on his own dime for meetings. But Larry wasn't budging. "If you won't live in New York, you don't have a job here." So Tim quit. Now here's the thing about programming. No one knows your code like you do. Tim had built massive parts of their system, and the team started to struggle without him. 6 weeks later, the CEO himself, let's call him John, was on the phone asking Tim to consider coming back. Tim agreed to talk, but on one condition. John had to come to Michigan. If he was going to return, it had to be crystal clear. He wasn't moving back to New York, so John flew out. Sitting across the table, John admitted the team was falling apart without him. He offered Tim his old job back, but with a 20% pay cut. Cost of living adjustment, John called it, since Tim wasn't in NYC anymore. Tim leaned back and said, "No, if you want me back, it's a 15% raise." John tried to argue. "We pay those salaries because New York is expensive." Tim didn't flinch. "You pay what you pay because I'm worth it. If I wasn't, you wouldn't be here begging me to return. First condition, 15% raise." John sighed. "And second?" Tim dropped the hammer. "I'll come back, so long as Larry isn't there." John tried to push back. "That's asking too much." Tim stood his ground. "Then don't bring me back. I'll be fine elsewhere, but my offer expires Friday. After that, I start looking for work." It was Tuesday. John left. By Thursday, John was back on the phone. "Tim, we're transferring Larry to another fund. You'll never work with him again, and we'll give you that 15% raise. Can we send over your offer letter?" Tim smiled. "Of course. Just making sure. Larry's really gone?" "Yes," John confirmed. "You'll never interact with him again." And that's exactly what happened. Tim's been back with the hedge fund since, living in Michigan, working remote, pool in his backyard, man cave down the lane, no New York rent, no Larry breathing down his neck, and 15% more pay. Sometimes, walking away is the strongest move you can make.